Welcome to the UDP broadcast, podcast where a group of friends get together and discuss gaming-related topics, offering both informed and uninformed opinions. I'm Luminary, and I'm accompanied today by my co-host, the Nordic Cajun,
You're beautiful, baby.
the Eternal Barcode, Imi,
Hello, everybody.
and from the Emerald Dream, Reina, the Crit Chicken.
Help! I am stuck in Pokemon Go.
Now, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, coming
Ain't
from
nothing wrong with that, honey.
I like Pokemon, and Cajun here is a shiny hunter, so it all
I
works out.
mean,
All you have to do to get your steps in is go into Busch Gardens and sit on the tram for about 30 minutes. Goes very slow so you can get your footsteps in without busting a
that's it.
sweat.
Nah, you're not wrong. Episode 71, Labors of the World. But before we get into that, Imi has words.
I do. 10% of all revenue generated by the show, whether that is through ads, through bits, donations, subs, whatever, goes to the Trevor Project and our wonderful mascot. Ping has some more
Pingu.
information on what the Trevor Project is.
Needs more ping.
The Trevor Project is the leading organization working to end LGBTQ youth suicide in the US and beyond. The non-profit operates several programs to help prevent and respond to the public health crisis of LGBTQ youth suicide, including 24/7 free crisis services, research, advocacy, education, and peer support.
Thank you, Ping. As a reminder, our opinions are our own and do not represent any views of the organizations that employ us. In other words, we're poor. Don't sue us.
We don't have money.
No,
Leave us alone.
What's money?
Monet. It's fun to
Monet
say.
Exchange. One
Money?
of the
That's
top
that
tier
thing we
drag queens
hear
out
about
there.
all the time, but don't actually possess.
I mean, I'm after it, but I don't say I have it.
Money uwu indeed. Okay, so here we go. I think I'm going to start off with the one that is probably the most interesting and has been a hot topic for at least the last 2 weeks. And that is good old Boogie. And Crit Chicken's
Boogie,
had
oogie, oogie, till you just can't boogie no more.
has had her thumb and her eyeballs all over that because it is a giant shitstorm of WTFery. Crit, what have you discovered? I mean, between like promoting the fatty token and all the bullshittery that he gave CoffeeZilla before he ultimately was just a turd bucket. Tell me about what you've delved into, because I know that you've been on top of it for a little bit.
Well, I've known of his existence for a couple of years now, I guess, but I haven't really been falling into it until most recently between the quote unquote petty token. Apparently I forgot the website that he did it through or whatever, but he was shilling this this shitcoin, I guess, crypto, in front of his audience, and he even said, "Oh yeah, don't do it, blah blah blah, all crypto's a scam," or da 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 da. And then he pretty much rug pulled his audience or the remainder of his audience or whatever, and took about $10,000 from them with this, crypto scam that he was running or whatever. And he cites, well, I really needed the money because of cancer, cancer. And it wasn't until like recently, a couple of days ago, that Destiny, um, Wings of Redemption, Keemstar, and a few other people actually confronted him with the LOL cow live stream saying that, I do not believe that you have cancer, da 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 da. He's like, oh, proceed, pretty much. He supposedly the day that he quote unquote got quote unquote diagnosed was the day that he found out, or oh no, I didn't find out that, I didn't, I'm waiting for confirmation. Da, 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 da. I was diagnosed, but I wasn't. We're waiting on confirmation. I swear that the doctor, I hope and I pray that the doctors are wrong. Da, da. But 2 years, 2 years, 2 years of telling people that he has cancer. Oh, I'm being treated because I have these placements or something like that in my blood. Da 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 da. I've been doing blood tests, blood thinners, bloodletting. Blah, 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 blah. But he
I'm
doesn't want to
assuming
show any proof of
all the blah blah blah
his
blah blah is
diagnosis.
just um just the bullshittery that's coming through.
He backtracks. He backtracks a lot. He backpedals a lot. And also another thing that was really fucking creepy to me, and that didn't get really called out by anybody until like it kind of like he didn't get with his current girlfriend, right? Until like most recently when she turned 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back to that interview, that whole like podcast thing that they had together, he said, "Oh, only my best, my girlfriend was there at the time." You're telling me, you're telling me that 2 years ago, your might have been 17, 18-year-old girlfriend that you weren't with at the time was with you in the doctor's office, supposedly.
I've held my tongue on the topic for a while now because Lumi can attest. When it comes to Boogie, I I hate to say I had a soft spot for him just because all of my early content was kind of based on Boogie. His Francis character, his all of his characters, I kind of made it my own version of it because he appealed to the degenerates. He appealed to the people who didn't really have a purpose, and I was one of them, unfortunately. And this seems to be the month and the year of just seeing your heroes falling to the deepest, darkest abyss. Because between him and Dr. Disrespect, I have lost every person that I have looked up to from my high school era to now.
It
Like
seems to
every
be
one
that
of
way,
them.
man. Like I
No,
can't
you
tell you.
can't say that to every one of them because look at Filthy Frank. He went on
I
and changed his
I
whole thing.
I, I never watched Filthy Frank, so he's
Neither
not
have I.
on the tier,
Who's that?
unfortunately.
Well,
Oh, crit.
I
Who's
can
Filthy
only go
Frank?
by people. Yeah, please explain.
I mean, Papa Franco, he did all these skits. He actually did the Harlem Shake.
Okay. I don't know
Are you
what that
familiar with the
is.
Harlem Shake meme?
I
Nope.
am.
I think I've seen it
I
once or
So that's
twice.
where Filthy Frank is where it originated from with Pink Eye.
okay.
So he was part
That's a hell of a name.
of my stuff. So just seeing him change his whole act around and go into the music field,
Hmm.
rebrand to Joji, I like that for him. Good on him. Good. So there is some redemption out there. But the other person with the F name, Francis or whatever, Boogie, I no,
That's the thing.
no.
I'm right there for you. There's many things you can do, and many things you can joke about, and many things you can laugh about, but you cannot fake and pretend that you have the big C. You can't do that. Just because there's so many people who suffer with that on such a daily basis. He has a lot of stuff going on. He's been morbidly obese for his entire life. He's been abused his entire life.
Mhm.
He's been belittled and made fun of his entire life, which is what appeals to a lot of us, me included.
But at
But you
that point,
cannot
though,
sit there and just say you had this and use it to abuse your, I'm gonna go ahead and call it what it is, your minute following as it is, and try to get as much out of them as you can before that cow has been milked.
For context,
And
Boogie
good.
2988 is a very old YouTuber. He was, I think he came into prolificness around the time I started messing around with YouTube, same time Cajun did, with his Francis character. It was the first thing that went viral, and I can't remember either a news story covered him or somebody
It was
featured him.
I can tell you right now, it was Ray William Johnson
RWJ, huh?
is the reason why he got popular because Ray William Johnson reviewed one of his little Francis. I got he got reviewed by William Johnson for his Francis. I got banned from WoW meme. Like the video that he did about Francis getting banned from World of Warcraft
Hmm.
is what put Boogie on the map. That's why Boogie's even relatively icon at all on the internet.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true.
That's
Um,
why he has any.
Also notice he deactivated his Twitter even on the podcast that he was on. He said, "Oh yeah, you won't see me. I won't be online. Oh, so you won't, have your girlfriend go on OnlyFans. No, we're not going to be on the internet. That requires the internet." But he didn't deactivate both of his YouTubes. Like the other YouTube that he made a year ago, that he was like when Dave Dana or something like that, the guy that's losing a lot of weight, and who got, he's trying to ride coattails of the people on the other thing, but I guess since that one wasn't performing very well, he kind of scrubbed it and actually went back to his original YouTube account, but that's still
Mhm.
up. He said, "I'm not going to take any money, I'm not, I don't want, I'm not going to do anything for the LOL cow,
Lol
live
cows.
podcast anymore. I'm not going to do this." But he still is making revenue off of his YouTube because it's still up, and because of the controversy, people are still going to his page
Oh yeah, it's a great
to check him
marketing
out.
strategy.
Well, just to make a full circle of everything, when it comes to clout and when it comes to getting attention, as unfortunate as it is, rage baiting and bad news usually does better than good news. I mean, look what's happening with Eminem right now. Eminem just came out with a new album, and he's basically trying to cancel himself. He basically made fun of everybody from paraplegics to blind people to fat people just to see if he could get himself canceled. And all that's doing is giving him more attention and more limelight right now. Boogie tended to do the same thing. He tended to bring attention to himself by doing things that were not the most proper and ideal. I mean, the last time he got this much attention is when he shot a gun into the air because some person de-doxed him and showed up at his house.
Uh,
Which, in of itself, that was a huge situation, and he didn't deserve that. I will give him that credit. But that's the kind of stuff that he thrives off of, unfortunately.
yeah, it's all shock value. There was a time where it was all wholesome, and his weight loss journey and his character interpretations, and then it just went south and left field, and like he had a drastic change over time with between his bariatric surgery and his teeth implants and whatnot. If you look at his old stuff, you could see where he had his traditional Arkansas teeth. And I say that
Hmm.
because he is from Arkansas. He actually is from a city that was about 10 minutes south of where I used to live in Arkansas. So I'm very familiar with the area. Um,
Correct.
so it's interesting to see how he has changed because I think at one point he actually started going into more reality stuff. I think he had a McJugger with him. I think is the name. Is that right, Cajun? I think it's McJugger. But he was there for a bit, and
Whatever it was,
he turned into this massive asshat. And
he
I
did.
didn't I didn't see Boogie as that. I figured he was just trying to play another character and just instigating stuff in a house like a reality type house, which didn't work too well. And I was like, okay, well he's just trying new stuff. But then all the other stuff with his wife leaving him, like this guy is just nothing but a giant punching bag. More.
I'm wondering, okay, so when did his wife leave him? Around the time, like,
Oh gosh, it's
It was
been about 6 years
three.
ago.
It was it that long?
okay.
I think
Because
so.
I know the new girl he's dating now was his supposed girlfriend, and for the past couple of years, I forgot when his wife left him. And
Yeah,
apparently,
but
his
she's
wife
only
and him
20
are.
right now. It kind of makes me, no.
Yeah, that's another whole kettle of fish that we don't want to
That's why I'm just like, no. People need to look into that because that sounds a little bit, sussy doctor disrespect kind of thing.
I mean, he's
Maybe
also
that's
the
one of the
guy
reasons why.
he's also a guy that's paid off hookers, to be real.
Yeah,
So it's not outside the realm of
two hundred
possibility that
thousand dollars on hookers, and he has the issue with getting $10,000 from his fans, which he actually said. He said on one of the, I think to CoffeeZilla. Oh yeah, I don't know. Oh no, it wasn't to CoffeeZilla. It was to the podcast that night. I don't know if you know this or not, but I kind of had a windfall. Yeah, over the people that you scammed for $10,000 off of a shit coin.
for
crypto.
for who he is and what he is, when it comes to squeezing money out of thin air, he's a genius.
Well, yeah.
He has
Well,
scammed many people over the past 20 years?
think about it.
Squeezing money out of thin air. He had
Thin
2
air out.
years.
Yeah.
No, no, he
No,
had
you go
2
ahead.
years. 2 years to actually, at least if anybody came up with something or whatever, if he could have at least went to a doctor, get a general diagnosis or whatever, see what the format was, and then perhaps, went into a Microsoft Word, typed it out or whatever, because you know how hospitals like giving you freaking, paper every time you freaking are there for the most part, or it's in the patient portal. But if you could have just, at least whipped something up in Microsoft Words and got the formatting right or whatever, then he could have probably been like, here, yeah, here's all the stuff or whatever. They only wanted to see a little, a brief little hee hee, and but he literally had initially $25,000 put on the table, as well as his $2,100 a month just in general for going on the LOL Cow live podcast or whatever. So he had that plus $25,000 and additional money into the pot. I think it's almost about like $100,000 right now or whatever, just to show a little freaking piece of paper or something like that that shows that he has the something thema polysthema vera thing or whatever. I don't know what that thing is or what kept
Yeah,
it's Vera.
the blood
It's
cancer.
Vera. But all he had to do was that. But no, he was like, it's the one thing I wanted to keep private all this time. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But he'll
And
deflect and actually stand up naked on the stream.
let me put a disclaimer. I am not defending this man whatsoever. But when it comes to HIPAA, he's in his rights to do so. He's
True.
in his rights to defend all of his medical records because of HIPAA violations. He has no obligations to show anybody what's going on in his life whatsoever. We're seeing that going on with the political standings in political candidates right now in America between both Biden and freaking Trump.
But we
Like
won't go there because this is a gaming podcast.
right.
Sorry.
So we HIPAA. The only reason why we're talking about the Boogie 288 because he was a big influence in gaming for a long time between Magic the Gathering and other things.
Mhm.
He himself, he had no reason to show anybody proof that he had a cancer, but the fact that he didn't own up to it, and then I mean, owning up to it is one thing. He said he had it, but then he went and canceled all of his social media accounts. That's kind of like pretty much putting writing on the wall.
Oh
That
yeah.
okay, I got my hand caught in the cookie jar. I messed up. I'm no better than Dr. Disrespect. I'm getting canceled right now. Let me delete everything. And that's pretty much what's going down with Boogie right now.
With him
Um,
anyway, he's used to being like the butt of the internet right now. I honestly think that his lifelong abuse up to the point where he became internet famous is a contributor to a lot of what you're seeing now. And mind you, I'm not making excuses for Boogie. I think that you shouldn't grift your audience.
Absolutely not.
But there's some things you have to do because you got to keep the lights on. I totally understand that. Like, hey, gamer subs, you should drink that. Here, they're sponsoring me. Okay, well, it's fine. But uh, Bitcoin is
And
such a
for
speculative market, and it's also super volatile. And he was selling a shit coin, which means that it is. I can guarantee you right now that any shit coin that you find that is on the introduction and is being touted by Bitcoin influencers is basically a pump and dump. Period.
I
You get
mean, to be fair, he was probably trying to keep up with Elon because Elon loves to mention a certain coin. I'm looking at you, Dogecoin, and say it's going to be the biggest and greatest new thing to break the market, and then nothing happens, and people just dump money into it for no reason.
oh
Boogie
yeah,
was trying to do the same thing.
oh yeah,
There
hands
was
down.
plenty of people who do that.
But still, I think it's also attention seeking because that's what he's used to. So it's easy to drum this up. And this is on top of any exposure is good exposure when it comes to monetizing your content and getting
Mhm.
stuff done because people will go and they'll look for it and they'll watch it and they'll comment on it, which drives the algorithm. And it's just a giant pain in the ass because people have opinions and that's just the way it works. So regardless of what happens, like I know Crit mentioned earlier in this discussion that he deactivated his Twitter. He doesn't make money on
Mhm.
Twitter. He makes money off of YouTube. And that's all
Yeah,
there
And
is
that's
to it.
why I said
let's be fair, I kind of mentioned Eminem earlier. They both make money off of shock factor.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate Eminem's craft to death,
Hmm.
but he makes a new album, what, every 5 to 10 years, only to diss and talk about things that are happening in the modern world. It makes everybody mad. He makes a lot of money. He vanishes into the shadows. That's basically what Boogie is doing.
Yeah.
He makes everybody mad. He makes a lot of money. He vanishes into the shadows. He'll be
I mean,
back
look
in
what
about.
happened with Machine Gun Kelly. He literally made Machine Gun Kelly freaking swap genres, and then he disappeared into the shadows.
That's true. That boy, he made Machine Gun Kelly change his entire career. I will never forget that for the day, for until the day I die, because
Boogie will
that,
never have
for
that
me,
power.
was hilarious. No, he will
No,
not.
no. He, like I said, he's just the internet's punching bag and clown show. That's really. There's not much we can do about it. And it's worth mentioning because over the course of the history of this podcast, we've talked about things like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, AI, and things along those lines, and how terrible of an idea it is, and the examples that are therein. So it's worth talking about. I mean, I saw the video where he was talking about it. I watched the first 5 minutes and started skipping through to see if he was just bullshitting, and it was really
Mhm.
him saying, "Yeah, no, you don't want to invest in this because it won't do this," and so forth and so on. While he's doing that, he's still promoting the coin, and it's
Yep.
still sold. And while he was getting a kickback from the company that was sponsoring all of that content, or Fatty Coin or whatever it is.
Whatever he called it, yeah.
Yeah, and this is on top of like CoffeeZilla. I don't know if you've noticed. I think the last 2 days, I think he produced another video on Voidzilla, which is his on off the cuff vlogs, kind of on some of the stuff he's investigating, and it was just Boogie 2988 just yelling as loud as he could and telling CoffeeZilla what a terrible person he is. And I'm sitting there thinking, what are you doing, man? Like,
His best.
oh yeah, well, his best is literally the worst. But again, any exposure is exposure, and it drives traffic. So yeah, it's halfway
But
between looking out for your fellow creators and just straight bullshittery.
Well, the thing is, though, he has never once looked out for his other creator. But the thing is, though, he has contributed to half of Keemstar's money. So let's be real. He has made sure Keemstar has his lights turned on every day. So
Keemstar's a whole different story, which we won't get into this
mm,
time. Crit, you were going to say something?
I was gonna say, while we're on the topic of cancer and stuff like that, rest in peace, Richard Simmons for his skin
yes,
cancer. Um,
yeah, he died today, and this is the 40th. This week was the 40th birthday of Total Biscuit as well.
but while on the topic of cancer, though, the with September coming up, like I mentioned before, uh, I would suggest supporting the American Childhood Cancer Organization for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, because that's coming up in September. And
Awesome.
if you don't want to do that, there's other organizations like, the American Cancer Society. You can check around if there's a local Relay for Life in the area. I know St. Jude has their own little 5K too, so you can look out for that. And then if or just look into your local cancer society if you're outside the United States, because I know Canada has one too as well. But for me, I'm probably gonna either do the St. Jude 5K or the Relay for Life through the American Cancer Society, because I did that once when I was up in Gainesville. It's like if you're a survivor, if you're a family member, if you've actually had someone you've lost due to cancer, there's touching tributes during the Relay to Life where you can light lanterns and send it up to the skies with messages.
Hmm, I want to do that.
That sounds adorable. But
Yeah, yeah, it's supposed to be like send a message up to heaven and stuff like that and make it light its path. So I mean,
Hmm.
I would say I think it was like the Lumina lanterns or something.
I
But
already like the
or
name.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So you'll really like the name. I've just forget. I'm having a brain fart right now about it, but that's somewhere in the vicinity of it. It reminded me of your name too. But check it out. Yeah, definitely check it out if you have one in the area, because I do a lot of the 5Ks around the world too. I wouldn't mind having like a group for it.
That's pretty cool. All right, yeah, no. Well, my channel and whatnot supports the Trevor Project and all of the things that entails. Definitely do spend some time and donate to the organizations that Crit has mentioned. St. Jude is probably one of my favorite because I know I have a paycheck donation that goes out every twice a month just for that, and I think an animal shelter near me. Yeah, good stuff. So yeah, I think that's as much time as I really want to spend on Boogie 2988 because any more time would just make him more infamous. So let's move on to something I know that Imy's been looking forward to talking to, and it has to deal with Once Human. So Imy, if you're paying attention, there it is. There's the sigh. All right, I just shook him up, so beware of the spray, everyone. Here you go, Imy. Let's talk
All
about
right,
it.
Brace
so
yourselves.
you can go ahead and share my stream because I've switched it over to end user license agreements.
Oh,
Okay.
well, I can't exactly do that. I'm actually full screen projecting somewhere, so.
Oh, well, never mind then. Okay, so if you haven't heard, Once Human is owned by a company named NetEase, which is based out of China. Who cares? It's not Tencent. I'm not really worried. People have been review bombing it because they have no fucking clue what they're talking about. Like, at all.
Imagine.
I deal with end user license agreements. I deal with the registry of Windows all the goddamn fucking time. And holy shit, the amount of stupid I am seeing in these comments, these reviews saying, oh my god, it makes a registry entry. Yeah. Have you seen how many get made when you install anything? It gets even worse when it's an MSIX installer and not just a Windows installer, which is, your traditional MSI. This is absolutely ridiculous, people. Get your heads out of your fucking ass and learn English. And the very big thing is, you must realize, not everywhere is America. So if you're really, really pissed off over one fucking line, here's the thing. You're being dumb. And allow me to walk you through it. Now that I've warmed up. People are pissed because in the terms of service, it references their privacy policy. In there, it talks about government identification. Oh no. The problem is, no one has read the fucking end user license agreements to know why they're doing anything.
Say it ain't so.
One of the categories of personal information they collect, and I've got Blizzards here just to fucking show everybody how similar they are. They take things, personal information such as your contact information of your name, postal address, and your email. Okay, if you buy something, you're going to need to charge a credit card. They're going to want to make sure they can bill the proper credit card, and they use the address to match against what's, known by the credit card agency. Go fuck yourself. That's fine. Unique personal identifiers, IP address, account name, username. That's all fucking normal because who is buying the thing? Because they've got freemium currency. They need to know who they're selling it to. And tie it to the right goddamn account. Social media handle, avatar, instant messaging account, account ID, device ID, advertising ID, MAC address, and online identifiers. Some people got pissed off with the social media handle. Are you attaching your Twitch or your fucking Twitter account to it? Likely not Twitter because of the API costs, but are you hooking it up to Twitch to have Twitch drops? Yeah? Okay, they need to know what fucking account it's hooked up to. You dipshits. Your messaging account, same thing. If you are going to hook it up and tie it to any messaging platform, they need to know. Because how the fuck else are you supposed to send a message on behalf of that account unless you tie it to your fucking account? Device ID. That is the most uselessly basic thing that all computers have. It's not special. Neither are you. Advertising ID. That's done so some websites And some advertising companies actually respect the advertising IDs if they're set to don't fucking send me ads. MAC address. You don't know how a fucking network protocol works, do you? Because even if you ping something, it is a packet encapsulated with fucking MAC addresses of the destination and the source MAC address, including the source IP address and the destination IP address. Fuck off. That is how the internet works. You don't like it? Get off the goddamn internet.
Yeah, I have a phrase that I use that I want to put on a T-shirt one day. It's called "Common sense is a superpower," because we're in a day and age where that kind of common sense thinking and knowledge is literally obligated to a podcast like this, because most people don't understand what's going on in their own little world whatsoever.
Yep. So personal identification as defined in the California Consumer Records Law. I don't care about that. It's California. They have a protection from class action or for protected class information. So that is such as characteristics of protective classifications under California or federal law, such as age, race, gender, any gender identity information provided by you and your national origin. That's normal. Everybody gets that shit, because even if you don't specifically say your genders, it's pretty easy to figure it out. And they're going to get it anyways, because you just open your goddamn mouth and chat, don't you? But also, such as your date of birth, that's going to be to make sure the account holder's over the age of 13 in the United States. Because if you're not over the age of 13, you can't use most goddamn services. Fuck you.
Correct.
Race, and it even says derived from a profile picture. So if you have a profile picture of you, they'll be able to discern your race. Oh no! Mine's a goddamn barcode.
A sexy barcode at that. Oh, whoa.
If you haven't noticed, Imee is he's not a lawyer, but he's seen enough EULAs and terms and services that he knows what he's talking about, just due to... Go ahead.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong in here. Everything you see here in this terms of service and the privacy policy is literally in almost everything is in the Blizzard Entertainment online privacy policy, except for Twitch, or sorry, was it Twitter, because the aforementioned API costs. So this is Blizzard's. What information do we collect and how do we use it? Let me scroll right down. If you're an online visitor, or if an online visitor submits information to Blizzard, it will usually be through either the purchase of goods or services through our online platforms, product or account registration for an online game participation, player matchup services, message boards or forums, e-cards, blah, 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 blah. It's the same shit. The only thing we are seeing is people freaking out over identification. And even that term has been removed off of their current version of the end user, or sorry, the terms of the privacy policy. Sorry. But even then, I did read it before it was stripped out. The only time they need a government ID for that game, take a wild guess as to where you would need an ID.
Login?
No. If you're in a country that sets limits on your social online activities. So when you made your account for Once Human, if you were not required to provide a copy of your government ID, guess what? You're not in a country that requires it. There's 2 countries I know of for sure that use that, and they're both Southeast Asian. One is China, one is Korea. The reason being is culturally, those regions find it detrimental to spend all your goddamn day on the goddamn internet. So they literally put blocks on your account at the government level. The government mandates it that the game maker put a block on your account. So after X number of hours, your account either gets shut down for the day, or you start seeing diminishing returns, like severely hampered diminishing, experience or rewards or whatever. It's done as a way to get you off the internet, because in those cultures, the internet and spending tons of time on it is seen as a very, very bad thing for society. So they make you do that. When you sign up for an account anywhere and the terms of service or the privacy policy says we might need a government ID, think about what you're reading and don't fucking parrot everything else and freak the fuck out. Because I know if you, right here on Twitch, the minimum age to use Twitch is 13. If you type in chat, and I don't recommend it because your account will be banned.
Yeah.
If you say you are under 13 on Twitch, your account is immediately blocked and shut down. The only way to restore it is to send Twitch a copy of your government ID. So if you're freaking out over...
Here's my license, Gog. Let me get back on Twitch, please.
Exactly. And what they even tell you is block out the personal information, but just make sure your name and your fucking date of birth are showing. Like, if you're worried about this privacy policy, then you are too stupid to have even understood that when you created an account with Twitch and you click the little box that says, I have read the privacy policy and the terms of service, you should have fucking read that. Because Twitch requires government issue ID to unlock your account if you're stupid enough to say, I am under 13 years of age. So what we're seeing right now is rabid racism. And it's insane racism. And the reason I'm calling it racist is because these people have not read the privacy policy or the terms of service. They are parroting everybody else, and they're jumping on the I hate China bandwagon. And as much as we may not like the Chinese government for the, great firewall of China and all the other things ad nauseum,
I like
you
social,
have to
social
read.
scores. Ugh.
Yeah, you have to fucking read. You have to know what you're reading. You have to understand what you're reading. And then before you start spouting off, you need to make sure you totally understand what you've read. And if you don't understand it, you talk to a lawyer. You talk to a lawyer to make sure you understand that. Because nothing in here is out of the ordinary. Everything in here, in their privacy policy for NetEase, is what you will find in the Blizzard privacy policies. You'll find it in the Twitch privacy policies. May not be exactly word for word, but the idea, the central theme, will all be the same. And in fact, NetEase goes a step further and says they specifically try their very best to not sell or share personal information of anyone under the age of 16. So if they do, yeah, they would be in a bit of trouble, but they do their best. Does that mean they're going to go look around and, haha, this person's under 16? No, fuck off. Eat a bag of dicks. Seriously. I'm tired of people not reading privacy policies and terms of services and freaking the fuck out. If you want something to freak out about, go read fucking Adobe's newest terms of service. You actually, by storing anything on the Adobe cloud, you give them license and any of their partners or subcontractors an irrevocable, meaning you cannot take it back, license to use your stuff worldwide for anything they want, monetized or not. If you want to freak out over Adobe right now.
And that's
not
why I've been
this.
trying to cancel Adobe, but then
Good.
they hide their cancellation fee in
I know.
layers of text. We've talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, for
And
me, it wasn't that difficult to cancel. It was still annoying, but the biggest thing is a lot of us are accustomed to seeing a big cancel button, and they don't have that. They have under your account management, your subscriptions, and then you have to read the page, like actually fucking read the text, not look for a picture, and you can find where to cancel it. It's not that difficult. Yeah, they make it small font, not microscopic, but it's smaller so it doesn't stand out. And they're just doing it because they can. If you don't like it, fucking yell at them and scream at them. But there is nothing in this privacy policy for NetEase that is horrendously egregious or scary or anything. And like I said, unless you were required to send them a government ID when you made your account, you are not in a country that requires that because, your country does not limit your online activities.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what's really funny is NetEase actually looks at audio, electronic visual, and similar information such as profile photos, electronic information you provide directly or through your interactions playing the game of our services, device model, internet service provider, operating system, date and timestamp of the actions. You might be like, why do they need that? Well, for one, ads, because they need to know who they're marketing to, but also anti-cheating.
Oh yeah.
And fraud prevention, because they need to know when you're doing your fraud. That's a good date timestamp along with your ISP, so they can go to the ISP, say, I want the customer information for legal purposes, as they have, contacted police or whatever. Like, nothing in here is wrong. Nothing in here is scary. It's words people don't understand that are just parroting words for the sake of parroting words. And that has got to stop. I spend all fucking day long reviewing privacy policies and terms of service. Yeah, they're dry, they're boring. The only good one I've ever read was the one for fucking Baldur's Gate, because they make it an Eldritch Pact, and I shit you not, and we've talked about it before.
And I'm
It's
okay
a
with
goddamn. They get off the terms of service and go right to the Eldritch Pact. Like, yeah, that last section was boring. So here's the Eldritch Pact you're making. Don't fuck around, and you won't find out.
I totally embrace our noodly gods and ownage. I'm okay with this.
Like, I'm getting really sick and tired of people jumping a gun and freaking out over the dumbest shit without actually understanding the context in which they're freaking out. Yeah, there's a requirement for government ID if you're in Korea or China. Like, fuck off. Seriously, people. Calm the fuck down. And as far as registry entries go, holy shit, I could go on about that. I can actually tell you for a 32-bit installer in Windows where you will find the uninstall information. It'll be under HKey, local machine, software, Microsoft Windows, current version, uninstall. And it'll either be a fucking GUID or it'll be the software name, and you'll have the uninstall value and string. Piss off, or string and value. Piss off with registry entries. Registry entries are nothing. It's a text database pointing to stuff. And a couple things that people were freaking out over as far as registry entries go were the ones that were, what the fuck was it? Just things like counting how many times you've logged in to the game. You know what that's for? That's to see how popular the game is. So when they go to report to investors, they can say, we have this many people using our game. And another registry entry was, oh my God, they're looking at my computer's GUID. But it's not your computer's, it's a generated one. So it's not even your computer's GUID. It's one they generate for you to identify your machine. Seriously, people. Never hit F12. Never hit F12 on a browser and look at all the shit that your browser sends a website. Oh, yeah. You will lose your goddamn mind. You can actually get entire batches of information, including operating system, version, and your browser type and everything else, just from going to a website. It sends it in the original GET when it says, hey, website, I want this info.
Oh, yeah, it's in the HTTP header. You can't get around that. In fact, it's standard practice to include that stuff whenever you're making web applications.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, it is just stupid.
And that is the general consensus of most people on the internet. Just stupid.
I think the bottom line of this is that somebody found something they didn't like in a specific thing and didn't do their research. So I'm here to fill in the blanks saying, you agree to this shit all the time.
There is no person on this planet that I trust more about this TOS stuff than Amy, because that is literally his existence.
Yeah,
I'm gonna okay. Sorry, the Mighty Bee. Fuck you. This is their fucking thing for their review where they vote no and say it's shitty. It's a dated JRPG like UI, horribly compressed cutscenes and voice effects. Okay, sure. I don't care about that. Litchy Bugfest. Spent 40 of my 68 minutes trying to join a server, and when I did, me and my friends couldn't see each other because sub instances. For us to see each other, we needed to visit the radio tower to resync with, well, okay, fine, sure. Edit. Also, game leaved, because fuck you, you know how to spell. Registry keys even after uninstalling. Do you know what gets left behind on a computer when you uninstall shit?
All kinds of stuff.
Basically everything in the software. So anything that was user profile related, which would be under HKey current user or HKey users and then your security identifier, that shit stays behind. The uninstall path information that was under HKey local machine, software Microsoft, Windows current version uninstall, that normally stays behind. Like if you uninstall Sonic Studio because it comes bundled with your motherboard, fuck you, Asus. The amount of Sonic Studio 3 bullshit that's still left in my registry after uninstalling it is ridiculous. Is that scary? No. Can a registry do anything? No, it has no physical ability to action anything. It is literally a lookup table. It is the Rolodex of your computer.
Yep. If you need
Fuck
persistent
you.
information for your application, that's where you put it. You put it in the registry of whatever OS that you're currently operating in. And that, again, standard practice.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if people knew this, but the original Call of Duty Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that game had your whole fucking product key under HKey, local machine, software, Activision, Call of Duty, and I think the string was product key, and then the value was the actual product key, if memory serves. Oh, and then I love this. Found 2 files that are now in startup. No, it literally is for tracking how long you use the machine, like the game. You people don't know what you're talking about. If you want to do this shit for a fucking day job, go to school and learn, or start fucking getting into this shit before you open your goddamn mouth. Anyways, I'm done because I will just continue to rant at this shit and these stupid fucking reviews of stupid fucking people who don't know how to fucking read an end user license agreement and who don't understand what a fucking registry is.
Well, we're starting to run out of time, so I'm glad you just kind of run out of steam.
Am I the only one that enjoys an angry Amy?
Oh no, it's great. That was fantastic. That complemented the boogie conversation really well. So, but beyond that, there was some other stuff that came across the news that was kind of important to say.
I promise.
So one of the articles that came through that I found interesting was the culture of keeping developer talent in Japan versus everywhere else, where you ditch talent for profit at the end of a fiscal year, and that is not uncommon here in the Western world, especially in the United States, to make the pockets look fatter and get fatter bonuses, and that's fine. But what's interesting about that is that it's written into Japan labor law that you can't do that. You can't just fire a person. It's actually considered, if you do that for no reason, aggressive dismissal. And and it's written in the Japanese government's law that if you do that, you will be forced to give that position back to the employee that was aggressively dismissed.
Japan's still living in 2025. I mean, 2030. Well, we're stuck in 2024.
You say that, but there's also some other things going on that has come out, such as that doesn't apply to contractors. And on that note, translators for a lot of the Japanese games that come over here, and most specifically Nintendo, at least from the articles that I read, they have to sign a 10-year NDA to say that they never worked on the translation of that game. And the only
bullshit
it is, and this is on top of being contractors, which means you can be dismissed because you're not a full-time employee of the organization that you're currently doing work for. So, for example, and this kind of ties in together, while you can't aggressively dismiss a developer, if that developer employs third-party contractors to do work, you can dismiss the contractors because you're not dismissing folks from your own organization. You're saying, I don't need this labor anymore. And they're technically not out of a job because they are with a different vendor agency. So it makes it interesting that is how that is phrased. But beyond that, some of the practices along with, unless you are a full-time employee of the organization that you work for, you're not going to get credited in the game. And a big stink came out about that with Nintendo and the localization teams that have worked on that. I think the example that they gave was, the Mario games, you'll see like 6 names for translation, but there might have been a team of like 25 or more, because there are a lot of languages out there. Have you not been to Google Translate? Yeah. So that's the other thing I wanted to cover before we ran out of time, was that I find it interesting that here in the States we'll just be like, we'll just remove the bottom 10% and rehire, which I think is stupid because if you have good talent, regardless of what the bottom 10% is, it's still productive talent. Right. Whereas Japan is just like, no, dude, if you've got great talent, just keep it. And that's great. But there's ways around that. And organizations will always find a way to make the buck. That's not okay and okay at the same time. I guess it really just depends on which side of the fence you are as far as if you're an investor or if you're an actual. But I do want to move on to our roundtable because we are approaching the last 10 minutes. Unless anybody else has anything to add, because we spent a lot of time on Boogie and NDAs, or not, excuse me, Boogie and terms and services.
Sorry.
Oh
No,
no,
it's
no,
all
no.
good, baby. We chase them rabbits.
It was intended because I was really scared there wasn't going to be much to talk about today. But you guys came in spades, so thank you very much, Crit and
I'm back, baby.
Yeah.
I will
So-
always be pissed off when people start losing their fucking mind over shit they don't understand.
Oh
Because
yeah.
all you're doing is you're either knowingly participating, in this case, a racist tirade
Mhm.
against a Chinese developer that no, they're just a Chinese developer. They're not the boogeyman. Like I said, they're not Tencent, and the reason I have issues with Tencent is because they're got some people at the top of that company that are friends with PRC or PRC, and that kind of I find that a little bit sketch. But this company just isn't. They were the company that did the World of Warcraft stuff
Just in case
before
this
they destroyed the
disappears off
statue,
of,
and then they decided to do it again, and now they're working with Blizzard again. But yeah, it just fuck off with this shit already.
Indeed.
Just read.
I'm glad that Bobby Kotick is out because that was one of the issues that we were having, talking about, cutting people from work, but beforehand having the CEO give himself a hefty raise or salary increase.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh, we
hate
have
that.
labor, we have, to lay off people, but we'll give the CEO another raise. No.
Yeah. Speaking of
That's-
raises, let's talk about what we're going to do for the next week. So it's roundtable time. Crit Chicken, Amy, what are you folks doing? I know that On Patrol Live is currently on episodic cooldown. So what's going on? What are you doing?
Oh no, it's actually back up. Uh, they just started season 3 yesterday. We
Hmm.
had 1 week off.
Yes, it's good times. I really enjoy that show.
I'm sure you do.
It's kind of nice that most police departments with the people who are on camera don't have people kneeling on a neck, which is great. There are some officers who still do, and I scream at the screen every time. But
And my
it seems like
eardrums are going like, "Ah!"
yeah. I'm sorry, when I get angry, I get very loud.
You can outsquawk the
He's like,
crit.
not the neck, not the neck. You can put it
Yeah.
anywhere else, but not on the neck, and probably not the balls either, but not the neck.
Balls is fine, honestly. So most guys that are not on PCP, because you will not notice it and you'll actually get even more enraged, you can firmly, you don't have to kick, but you can firmly place your foot between the legs and they will settle down and do exactly what you tell them.
Unless,
It's hmm?
oh, remember that one episode where the dog actually played fetch?
Yeah, with the guy's balls.
Oh wow.
Yeah, chomp the shit out of them. But I mean, the dude
Titanium teeth
ran.
to the nuts.
Yeah, the dude ran. So, sucks to suck, bud. But
Indeed.
anyways,
So there you go. On Patrol Live is a thing. I know Imy's been geeking out over Barotrauma, and Crit's been doing Pokemon Go, at least from what I gathered from the pre-show. So
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
One of us. One of us.
if anybody is, I guess, watching this podcast or wants to relive this podcast and actually gets to this point of the podcast or the codcast, if you want to add me on Pokemon Go, and this is if you're actually listening, maybe, I don't know. My trainer code is 050138473397. Again, 050138473397. There you go.
All
That's if
right.
you get it this far.
You
There
get
you
your
go.
you get your steps in with crit. Ain't nothing better. Cajun, what are we
Ye-
doing this week?
Well, this Tuesday, I actually have a trial run with the one and only Firetsu.
A
She
trial.
challenged me to a race to floor 200 on Pokerogue. Now, I know a few weeks ago I slapped Pokerogue across the face because of their developer being a very bad turf. He has stepped down currently, and the new people have been showing signs of being more inclusive, including having a Pride Month event for the show, for the game. So I'm like, you know what? If they continue this trend, I'll support them, and they've been doing good so far. So this Monday, Ferretsu will be doing, and I will be doing a trial run on a race to floor 100 of of the game. And then the following week, we're going to be doing a race to the floor 200. If she actually wins in beating the game before I do, I have to do a maid outfit stream just like Jalen did not too long ago.
That's going to be fun. Can't wait to see it. So I suppose our Tuesdays are shot. So I'll be flying solo on Tuesday, and that's perfectly fine with me. Right.
Only on on Tuesdays or
Okay.
until we win. And then on Wednesdays, it'll be back to normal. And then Thursdays, will be back to pirate shenanigans with me, Lumi, and probably Little Man until school
Are you
starts.
out of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
So still doing it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
That is our.
I don't
our
mind
current-
dedicating my Thursday for off-stream pirating with your boy, dude, because that's a lot of fun.
Oh, I understand that. And the only reason why we didn't do it this Wednesday is because this Wednesday was a wreck for both you and me. Both
Oh,
you and me
bro.
were like, you know what? We're gonna take the night off.
I'm all right with that. Yeah. So I'm probably gonna be doing more Sea of Thieves. I've been really enjoying it. Season 13 is coming up in the 25th, I believe, where I believe it is was it Firebeard? I can't remember. Is making a comeback. There's a new ship that is that you can attain via PVE. It's not something you can buy, but dude, it has front-loaded fire cannons, so that's awesome. They're adding in skelly camps. I'm looking forward to going through and geeking out all the artifacts and things you can get out of there. So yeah, other than that, community weekend is this weekend, and I do plan on doing a little bit of streaming on TikTok as far as Sea of Thieves is concerned. You guys have been completely awesome. So yeah, that's all I've got for me.
We love Lumi.
Other than that, I think that's it. Episode 71 in the bag. Great conversation, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, and things and bobs. Yeah, thank you very much. With that, I think we're going to wrap this up to a close, and we'll see you next week for episode 72 of the UDP broadcast. Thank you very much, and have a good night. And remember, stay awesome, keep it classy, and don't.
And
be
as
a dick.
always, don't be a dick.
P.S. Read terms of services and end user license agreements and privacy policies, fuckos.
Unless you
Ah.
want Amy to actually start reading them to you before bed.
Once upon a
Oh, yeah.
time, there was a terms anyway. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go
I
and
will do
terminate
that.
everything.
Don't tempt me.
Have a good night, everyone.